never thought of using Macs, not to say MacBook Air. They've always been underpowered, overpriced, overheating slim notebooks. Until the introduction of the Apple M1 chip. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew, and today I'll be reviewing the Apple MacBook Air M1 and talk about why I don't regret switching to Mac. I've been using this MacBook Air M1 base edition as my daily driver for the past 2 months and it's been absolutely amazing. I bought this MacBook Air because my Acer Windows laptop just started randomly turning on and off. But the reason I switched to a MacBook for the first time is because of its amazing Apple M1 chip and the lightweight chassis. Now, without further ado, let's go straight into the design of this MacBook. The MacBook Air M1 is actually physically the same as the MacBook Air 2018. It's not the thinnest, nor is it the lightest, and it comes with thicker bezels when you compare to newer laptops. But it still falls within the thin and light category, which makes it easy for you to bring it anywhere to work. I personally prefer the silver color as I dislike the space grey color and I find the gold too striking. But all of this is just my personal preference. The display is a 13-inch 2560 by 1600 display with 400 nits of brightness. This is definitely an upgrade for me coming from a Full HD 250 nits display, but it's actually a slight downgrade when compared to its sibling, the MacBook Pro with 500 nits of brightness. For me, this display is absolutely perfect, and I have no problem working with it under any environment. And after using this 2K Plus display, I can now hardly accept any Full HD monitors out there. Performance is actually another reason why I go with the MacBook Air instead of all the other Windows laptops. And that actually sounds like a joke if I say that 2-3 years ago, but now, not anymore, because the Apple M1 chip is just so surprising when it can run so well on most of the apps even though they have to run through Rosetta. This model which I bought is the base edition with 8-core CPU, 7-core GPU, 8GB of RAM and 256GB of SSD. And when using this to do all my daily works, which consists of audio editing and video editing, they run absolutely fine. And when I play Minecraft on my 21:9 2K Plus monitor, I can get an average of 60 FPS as well, which is actually better than my previous laptop. I have actually no idea how Apple has managed to do this when Windows is still struggling to get 64-bit apps running on ARM, and I believe currently this laptop has the best performance under this form factor at the price of 4,000 ringgit. Of course, when I'm running heavy workload, the chassis above the keyboard actually will get slightly hot, but it's totally silent because there's no fan inside. And I think if you're just trying to type documents or like browse the web, it actually won't heat up at all. Of course, most people will probably ask whether should they buy the RAM and SSD upgrade on this device. I personally think that there's no need for both because the RAM management on this device is superb. And for SSD, you can actually just buy a USB-C external SSD because that will definitely be cheaper than Apple's own SSD upgrade. But yeah, I actually use a SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD with it to edit videos and I edit directly off the SSD and it's fast, it's smooth, no problem at all. Other than the amazing performance, this MacBook Air has killing battery life as well. Usually I use it plugged in with my monitor, but when I work in other parts of my house, I'm able to get around 8 hours of battery life before needing to send it for a charge. And for gaming, I can use it for around 3 hours, which is double the battery life of my previous laptop. It's almost like the best of all worlds, when you have high performance in a thin and light chassis and amazing battery life together. And I almost forgot, this laptop supports power delivery charging, which is amazing because you can just go anywhere and plug it into a PD supported 30 watt and above charger and then just continue your work. Onto the webcam, it's actually quite bad. I usually use a Logitech C920 as my main webcam, and these two just can't be compared. But of course, it does get the job done if you're just trying to video call a friend through Zoom. The speakers, on the other hand, they are absolutely amazing. I originally used external speakers plugged into my monitor, but it frustrates me when I'm unable to change the volume on macOS. So I have no choice but to switch directly to these built-in speakers. It's only when I make the switch I realize that I've been living in a cave. The speaker quality of this is amazing. Of course, I know that there's a lot more good speakers out there, but if you talk about laptop speakers, I believe this is one of the best. I actually like the keyboard because I find the typing experience on it better than my Logitech K380, and I actually make less typing mistakes on it. The trackpad is no doubt amazing. The large area size with its amazing precision allows me to work on it without the need of a mouse when I bring it around the house. Even when I plug it into my monitor, I still use the trackpad for gestures. Finally, it comes with Touch ID, which actually allows you to unlock your Mac easily, and you can make payments with it, and even use fast user switching. The MacBook Air comes with two USB 4/Thunderbolt ports, and it's just sufficient for me. I usually use one port for the dongle and another port for my external SSD, and the power will come in through the dongle. The dongle I get comes with HDMI, Ethernet, power in, and USB-A. And if you're actually looking to use your MacBook in a desktop setup, you can maybe consider getting a Thunderbolt dock because those comes with a lot more I/O options. And yes, I actually forgot one thing. This MacBook Air comes with headphone jack. But I mean, who uses that? Well, actually, I don't really use that though. After using it for 2 months, I've grew to love it. This is actually an amazing device and basically the best of all worlds. And would I recommend it? If you're looking for thin and light, definitely. No matter if you're coming from Windows or you've been a Mac user, it's basically worth the upgrade. But if you're looking for a more powerful device, maybe consider waiting for the new M1X or the M2. I'm actually very excited for those as well after seeing what they've done with the M1. It's actually my first time using a Mac, so it took me some time before I get used to navigating through the OS, as there's quite a learning curve before you can use it intuitively. It's definitely not a device for your parents if they've been using Windows for years. After using it for 2 months, I find that it's only slightly better than Windows because there's still those occasion glitches and unexpected shutdowns. However, if you're an Apple user, I do highly recommend this device because it completes your Apple ecosystem and you can make it a smooth productivity workflow. Now, let's talk about the good and bad of using a Mac. Mac OS is actually a very well designed and user-centric OS. As long as you've gotten used to it, it's very intuitive for you to just change a setting, install and uninstall an app, or search for a file. It's actually designed better than Windows for people who doesn't want much control over their operating system, but you do need to get over the learning curve first. After switching to macOS, whenever I'm done with my work, I'll just close the lid. And maybe the next day when I want to resume my work, I'll just lift the lid. There's no need to shut it down or turning it on. The process is instant, and you don't need to wait for it to boot, and it doesn't drain much of your battery as well. But yes, I think the instant thing only works on devices with Apple M1 chip. You can easily have a multi-screen setup anywhere, as long as you have a Mac device and a supported iPad device. I usually use mine with a iPad Air 3, and there's almost no latency when I connect to it. And it's very easy to connect. Basically over here, I'll just connect it on my Mac, so I have my iPad right in front of me, just waiting for connection. And yes, basically now it's actually connected, and if I pull my cursor over there, I'm not sure if you can see it, but yeah, basically it is connected. I have no idea why the wallpaper is different, I'm not sure why, but let's say now I want to disconnect it, I just press it again, and yeah, now it's back to iPad. And basically there's a lot more features when you're using it across Apple devices as well. You can use AirDrop, continuity, and in future you can drag and drop files across Macs and iPads. Basically, using a Mac with different Apple devices it's just easier, and it brings a lot more additional features. I believe this is an Apple M1 issue, but because I use a MX Master 3 and it requires to be connected to Logitech options at all times for me to use all the macros on it. And on this Mac, sometimes it will just suddenly disconnect the mouse from the app and I lose all my macros, and I only can access back all my macros after I disconnect and reconnect the mouse. So it's actually a very small issue, but it's very, very inconvenient when it happens, especially when it happens in a sudden. You'll still have to restart your Mac once a week. Even though the Apple M1 chip is actually amazing, it actually slows down my Mac after a few days of heavy usage, so I do need to restart it. But the good thing is, after restarting it, every single time it just goes back to normal, back to usual. I believe it may be a RAM management issue, but yeah, I'm glad that it can be just fixed easily with a restart. Buying a MacBook usually means you spending more than retail price. Yeah, when I buy this MacBook, one main thing that you definitely need to get is a dongle, because we are still not so advanced yet at the stage that we are all using a USB Type-C thing. So even though how powerful that port is, you still need to get a dongle, maybe for your HDMI, your Ethernet, your USB-A ports, and then I have to get myself a case as well, and I have to get myself another external SSD, and in this case I actually got Apple Care protection for my Mac as well. So usually you'll be spending more than the retail price. If you enjoyed this video, do like, share and subscribe, and maybe check out this self-improvement playlist where it's all about videos where I talk about how to improve ourselves in different ways. And maybe you can check out the Thoughts podcast channel, which is a podcast created by me and my girlfriend Verene, where we just discuss about incongruous thoughts in our life. Thanks everyone for watching, and hope to see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.